Do any of these statements resonate with you as to why you cannot find a job in Germany? Oh, I don't find any companies that offer me a visa sponsorship. Oof, all my CVs get rejected automatically by the ATS crawler. Or another one is like, oh, I only find jobs that require me to speak at least B2 level German. In this video, we're going to tackle all these three statements because all they are myths in most of the cases. Hey, my name is Jen and I'm from Guatemala.
And mine is Yvonne and I'm German.
And together we're from simplegermany.com, where we create English content to empower internationals to settle into life in Germany more smoothly.
So let's shed some light on these three statements and reveal the truth.
Okay, so statement number one, or myth number one, is like, oh, I'll never find visa sponsorship jobs in Germany, therefore I'll never be able to move.
That is not really accurate because the term visa sponsorship, I believe, just builds the wrong image in your mind. Visa sponsorship in terms of that a German company needs to prove that a German person cannot perform the job that you would like to get hired for does not exist in Germany. We believe this myth comes from the US, where this is exactly the case, and we all know how hard it is to get a work visa in Germany and how the companies need to put
in the US, you mean? You said Germany.
Oh, in the US, yes.
Yeah.
And how the companies need to put in all this effort and pay thousands of dollars for you to be able to perform a role that a US person can't.
Yes, definitely. Not only the US, I would say even in Canada, I think visa sponsorship is definitely a massive thing. And as an international or immigrant, at least from Latin America, we have this image of immigration to North America. And because that's the case, then I think it's the same for everyone else or everywhere else in the world. But in Germany, these visa sponsorships are not a thing. So first question is like, why do I see job roles that actually say visa sponsorship included or something like that?
Well, I believe there's two reasons. One, marketing, because people are looking for it. So if someone is looking for it, of course, one wants to serve that in order to attract the eyeballs. But secondly, I believe actually it's a very proactive approach of the job boards to showcase companies that are actively seeking to employ people from outside the EU and understand that Germany doesn't have enough workers and want to attract international talent. Meaning companies that have a visa sponsorship filter ticked are more open to or more aware to hire internationals and also support in the visa and relocation process.
Yeah, okay. And then if I don't need a visa sponsorship, then what do I need?
Simply a work contract. Literally, that's all you need. You need a work contract that is signed by you and the company. Then the company, the German company in this case, will need to fill in a few forms, of course, to prove and to confirm that you have been hired or will be hired. And with those forms, you as a candidate can go to your embassy or the Ausländerbehörde, depending on where you are, and actually go through the immigration process in terms of getting your work permit by yourself. The company does not need to assist you. Some do, but they don't have to. You can do it yourself.
Yes, definitely. And even some of these, what you mentioned, companies that want to portray that they're looking for international talent, when we searched hundreds of companies to find English-speaking job roles, we always found that the majority of them, okay, not the majority, but a lot of them actually offered relocation support as well. So some even advertised that. And we also found cases where the company does not advertise that per se, but they still are willing to help out if an international candidate is there and they need assistance to relocate to Germany.
Yeah, and you convince them that you are the one that they want. Exactly.
You're the one. Oh, sorry, I was singing. Yeah,
So we would like to reframe your approach and stop looking for visa sponsorship jobs, but instead don't focus on immigration and focus on getting that job contract. The moment you put that filter of visa sponsorship, you automatically remove lots of open job positions that are being advertised that might be a perfect fit for you. And again, maybe that company supports you, it just doesn't advertise it. And even if it doesn't, you can do it yourself.
Definitely. It's not uberly complicated, I would say. Second myth is that I need to create a CV that convinces the ATS scanners that I'm a good candidate, otherwise my CV gets automatically rejected.
There's this legend that there are those scanners that automatically look for certain keywords, and if your CV doesn't have them in it, it's an auto reject by a bot, by a machine. And to be honest, that is a complete myth, at least in Germany.
Yes, definitely. In preparation for our online course, Get Hired in Germany, we talked to a lot of experts in the German market, in-house recruiters, CTOs, hiring managers, you name it, and they all agree that this ATS myth is BS in Germany for sure. ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System, and it's pretty much a glorified Kanban board, if you know what I'm talking about, or a CRM. You have different columns, for example, job application open, interviewing, send an offer, and different statuses, and you can move the application from one to the other, right? So what does happen is that when, let's say, a recruiter rejects someone and they move the application from applied to rejected, an automatic message gets sent out. And again, if you don't even pass the first screening of the recruiter or HR person, which tends to be a very fast screening of the CV and it's like scanning super quick, then that might seem like a super quick process, right? Like, oh my God, I applied today and 2 hours later, I already got rejected. Must be the ATS thingy.
It is not the ATS thingy. It is a human in Germany. Every CV gets scanned by a human and they, like Jen just said, literally just select move to next step or reject. And that's what they do. But there is no crawler you need to satisfy. That doesn't mean that you should not put keywords that match the job ad into your CV. You definitely should, because also the human eye is going to look for those keywords to see whether you have the skills and the experience and the achievements that they are looking for.
Yes, and by keywords, I mean, for example, if you're a developer, then put the technology that you hopefully have experience with, and the job ad is asking for that experience, right? So if you have experience in, I don't know, React.js, and the job ad says React.js, then definitely put that keyword there. Because even some recruiters go to the extent of Command F, because they don't have the time to actually scan everything. These are the top keywords that I'm looking for. Command F, do I find it? Nope, okay, then not, right? Additional to that, there's an exception to this though. And that's when maybe someone might feel like, oh my God, a bot automatically rejected me, which kind of is like a Jein in German, yes and no. And that is like if you are applying for a job and this job application has this form that you need to pre-fill out to send your application.
With form, you mean like certain questions?
Yeah, like questions that you need to answer. In some cases, these forms allow the companies to say, for example, if you answer the question a certain way, then you're automatically rejected. Exactly. You have an example from the previous company that you worked at?
Correct. In my previous company, we had those questions that you need to fill out. Like, for example, do you have a driver's license? Or do you speak English? And especially with the do you speak English question, if the answer given of the selection was no, that was pretty much an auto reject because that was one of the must-have requirements for working in the company. Yeah. So those questions might be an auto reject, but it is not by a bot. It is simply by a filter set based on basic requirements asked for in those questions.
And kind of ironic how a German company kind of like auto rejects a German candidate by not speaking English.
Well, depends on the field that the company is operating
in,
right?
Exactly. But I mean, it's because we're looking for English-speaking jobs. So, yeah.
Well, you still need to speak German as well in that company.
And that company still did too, Now to myth number 3 is that every company in Germany asks me to have a B2 level German. I will never find an English-speaking job in Germany.
That is, again, not true. Even though this is one of the most given answers or reasons why one might not be able to find a job in Germany, I call it more an excuse than reality, because data shows different things and speaks the truth. In our latest survey, salary survey that we did of community members, international skilled workers in Germany, through our newsletter, we proved again, and we already did this last year, which had a similar result, that 80% of all the survey participants, which were like 350 participants, 80% do not require German for the role. 80%. Okay, to be fair, 45% of those 80% work in the IT industry, which is what we have been saying for years and years and years, that your highest chance to find an English-speaking role in Germany is if you work in the tech or IT field. Doesn't need to be the industry IT, but just in a tech team, in a digital team, in an agile team, and whatever the new work economy is. And next to the IT industry, so we have 80% that don't need German, 45% of those work in IT. However, another 28% of the 80% work in manufacturing, automotive, academia, and of course also finance. So there are other industries beyond the IT industry where you don't require German.
Now, this is a very bold statement from our part. I also understand because we're not denying that a lot of jobs require German. I mean, of course, we're in Germany. But if you're looking for an English-speaking job, if you are in the tech industry or any of these other industries, your chances are higher. If you're not, then unfortunately, you first need to learn German, if that's a requirement, and then you can prepare to move to Germany with your German learned. We also heard a very motivating story from a community member. Actually, they sent us a message on Instagram. sharing their story that they are from Latin America. I don't remember the specific country. And they spent a year and a half learning German. And now they work at the Rathaus, at the city hall of the city that they live in, to develop projects and stuff for the city. So it is possible. But of course, these kinds of jobs require German, 100%. But there's another whole bunch that don't. That English is definitely enough to find a job in Germany.
So again, what we're trying to say with this is don't have a generalization that everyone needs B2 German, otherwise that doesn't work. Like otherwise I can't find a job in Germany because it's that's not true. What we would like to encourage you to do is to actually go out there on the interwebs and do your own research for your profession, your industry, and your desires. And don't just look at 2 to 3 job ads and say, oh, they all require German. No, dig deep. Look at 300 job ads to find proof what is actually necessary. Go on the German government website and look on professions. I mean, we have a whole video on recognition where we also talk about, for example, the doctors or the medical professions where, yes, you do need German. This is a legal requirement. Other professions like lawyers, or also if you're, let's say, in marketing or advertising where you need an understanding of the German market and culture. Of course, if you're in those fields, you might be one of those that says everyone requires me to speak German. And that is, I mean, that just makes sense. Again, after all, you want to work in Germany where our mother tongue and general language all over is German.
Yes, but even in marketing, right? Like if you specialize in advertising, it could also be that you find a company. Let's say I'm from Guatemala and I am a marketing professional, advertising professional. Maybe I find a company that wants to do marketing initiatives in Latin America or Central America. And I understand the nuances of the Latin American culture, and I can definitely contribute for this team. So it is possible. But again, one needs to be a little bit creative of what could be the angle that you could be entering. But of course, companies that want to have a marketing effort in Latin America that are based in Germany might be a lot less than companies in Germany that want to do marketing in Europe, for example.
Exactly.
So also to keep kind of like things realistic, right? I would say, to be honest, it's a very blunt, but if you're not in any of the fields that we mentioned, it's a lot harder to find English-speaking jobs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then I was just going to finish what I said beforehand. Do your own research. And if your research shows that you require German, well, if you want to work in Germany, if that is the way you want to move your life ahead, then do everything you can to learn German and get yourself on that level. Don't let that reason or the language barrier remove the dream of moving to Germany, if it is your dream, right? You need to ask yourself, why do I want this? And are those whys bigger than the struggle of learning German? And usually, also from all of the experiences we have from our community members, moving to Germany for most people is a 2 to 3 year plan and a 2 to 3 year process. Do you know how good your German can be in 2 to 3 years if you really put your commitment and effort in it? You can totally reach B2 level and then have that confidence and have your skills in your industry to make that move happen. If you are in the IT industry or you want to change into it, but you lack the work experience that is so often required in that field, then you have 2 to 3 years to attain that work experience. Whatever it is that you're lacking that might not enable your move right now, make it your goal to attain it and then have a deadline. In 3 years' time, I'm going to be in Germany and make it happen.
Definitely. Yeah, I think this 2 to 3 years, sometimes even 4 years plan, sometimes it's hard to grasp because it seems like such a long time. But if you take 4 years of hopefully you live until 100 like me, that's like nothing, right? It's very little time. I remember in HR, a friend who is in HR once told me, a lot of people sometimes are unhappy with their job or their situation and they're scared of changing because it might be too late or I've spent so many years here. And she always said, put it in perspective, right? How many years do you have left of work? And then is the investment that you're going to do now compared to those years, is it big or small?
Yeah, so pretty much, let's say you're 30 and you have maybe worked already 8 years in your life. However, you still have, depending on, let's speak of Germany, you still have 37 years to work. So you already have 8 years of experience. You have 37 left to work is an investment of studying whatever, in your case, coding. In other cases, the German language. That takes 2 to 3 to 4 years. Is it worth it for the then still remaining 33 years of work?
Yeah, that's the perspective, right? So again, we cannot answer that for you. That needs to be something that you need to discover within yourself and explore. But like Yvonne already mentioned, take the time. If this is something that you want, block an hour. Instead of watching your favorite Netflix show, block that hour and go on the different job portals and try to find all the jobs that you can find and analyze, throw them in ChatGPT, download them. You know, you have AI now to help you to try to understand, A, do I need German, or what requirements do you need that you don't fulfill yet to be able to succeed and get that job in Germany, again, if this is something that you want.
Now, if you're part of the lucky industries or professions where German is not required and you'd like to get a move on and fast-track your job search in Germany, then be sure to click on the link in the description to our online course, Get Hired in Germany.
Until next time,
Tschüss!